Hello. My leads project is about the lessons I've learned and my growth as a leader as I assumed the role of program director of a program that was formed by merging our department's two unique programs into one. My ultimate job was to find the common ground in these programs and build unity. Historically, merging programs was something that had been happening at our institution since the University of Arizona entered into a partnership with Banner Health in 2015. The ask for us to merge was looming overhead, so in 2020, we decided to make the move before we were told to do so. The challenges began shortly after our announcements. Of course, there was COVID, and then the announcement that a local FQHC might take over our residency clinic, the news of a new comp plan without any concrete details, a threat to cut our residency slots, the announcement that our department chair was leaving, and then multiple faculty resignations. It was all a little too much to take. And even though we successfully navigated the GME cuts and our slots were preserved, I really wondered how we were going to get through this. I was feeling a little underwater. And so my first lesson was to realize that I needed to sit with this discomfort, to acknowledge my feelings, to listen to them, and to do some deep thinking about how to move forward. I really needed some direction. My second lesson came quickly after that, and it was to look for guidance. Managing change isn't a new concept, so what could I learn from others? Cotter's model of change came to mind, but it didn't seem to fit exactly, although step 3 of forming a strategic vision spoke to me. Before I did that, I needed to take a step back and define what our values are and lean into them. So that was my third lesson, naming values and living in them. With the help of our residents and faculty, we defined our values as excellence, sustainability, and service. I also explored my own values using Brené Brown's Dare to Leave framework, which was just as, if not more important than discovering my program's values. My two core values are integrity and making a difference, and everything I personally do is guided by these. Values help, and so does mentorship. So my fourth lesson was to remember to seek mentorship and the wisdom of others. My mentor helped guide me towards some ideas that I hadn't thought about before and reminded me of some that I had, like listening to my own advice. I had several experiences where I found myself giving advice to my mentees and then realized the question they were asking was the same one I was asking myself. I had the answer, I just needed to see it from a different perspective, and they helped me do that. My mentor also introduced me to switch, a new approach to change, which taught me that big problems are solved with small solutions and to find the bright spots of things that are working, and the rest can evolve from there. I also learned how powerful emotions are and how to use them as an agent of change. I created spaces for residents and faculty to share how they were feeling and what motivated them, which then allowed for creative thinking to shape culture. One of the most powerful lessons I learned was the importance of self-reflection. This was something that I do now intentionally, and I encourage my faculty to do as well. I find this especially helpful when I'm having a hard time with something. I explore the why, and it points me in the right direction. To build culture and unity, I know that my reflection also have to include listening to what others are saying. So I created spaces for residents and faculty to share their thoughts and concerns. Listening and letting people be heard is really important. But the most important lesson I learned is the power of vulnerability. There were times during this process that I wasn't my best self. I chose to be vulnerable with my faculty, acknowledge my shortcomings, and apologize for behavior. After doing this, I felt a shift. Instead of just complaining, they felt safe to share their struggles and felt safe to talk about the hard things. We had built a trust that hadn't been there before. I had a similar experience with my residents, and our trust increased as well. Also important in maintaining trust is acknowledging people's efforts and showing gratitude, especially in times of burnout. Being noticed is important. So I took time to write thank you notes to all of my faculty for their role in this process. I also have to remember to be honest with myself and to acknowledge my limitations, to give myself grace for the mistakes I have made, and to remember that I cannot do everything for everyone at every moment. Saying yes to yourself is okay. One of the most transforming experiences I had was listening to Brené Brown speak at the AAMC conference. I have learned a lot from her book, Dare to Lead, and shared some of these lessons today. Doing things the easy way is not always right. So in closing, in reflecting on what I have learned as a leader while creating new culture of a merged program in the face of many obstacles is to remember that I am one person, I am not perfect, and as long as I show up as my real self, there is no shame in that.